Hey guys, it's Windy from windys.art. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to paint a crested tern bird, which is also an endangered animal in watercolor. So I begin with the sketching. As you can see, I draw out the basic contours and mark out the darker area on the bird's body and the wood. I plan to paint a color blended background, so I start by just leaving the background blank. After I'm done sketching, I start to apply watercolor masking fluid, so it's easier to paint the background afterwards. I'm using Winsor & Newton's masking fluid with a ruling pen. Once the masking fluid is completely dry, it's time to paint the background. I start with the base layer and also try to match the color as close to the reference photo as possible. For the base layer, I usually dilute the color so it's not too strong to work on layers afterwards. After the paper has dried, I start applying the second layer. In this layer, go ahead and strengthen the base color to get the shades right. I'm using wet on wet techniques for the background, so the color blend nicely into each other. After the background is dry, it's time to remove the masking fluid. I'm using a remover, but you can also use your fingers to rub it off until it becomes a clump. Then use that clump as a remover to pour off the rest of the masking fluid. Once the masking fluid is all removed, I start painting from the eyes. I'm using an indigo mixed with brown color here, so I try to make sure I get the shape of the eyes right and leave the white parts blank while coloring. It affects the whole paintings a lot if you paint the eye well. Then I continue painting the head feathers, which is the darkest area of a whole bird. It's quite important to observe the directions of the feathers before painting. As you can see, the feather direction here is going from left to right. Make sure you leave some blanks in between the feathers so it looks more natural. For the mouth, I start painting from the darkest shades, then color it afterward. So the tip of the mouth is black and 1/3 of the front of the mouth is white. Then the rest of it is yellow. That's also one of the features of the Crested Tern Bird. Then I move on to the body. I first apply a light layer. I'm using a diluted sky blue here. For the area around the belly, although it's white color, it still has a light shadows in it. So I'm using a diluted sky blue mixed with light gray to paint on some darker shades. After that, I start with the second layer on the body. It should be darker than the base color. As you can see, I'm using some different colors here, blue, purple, and indigo color. Once the paper is dried, it's time to paint the feather details. I change to my number 0 brush and start from the area around the mouth. Because around the mouth area is mostly white color, I use a diluted sky blue for the darker details. So I usually work on layers for the details. I paint from light to the darker shades, then strengthen the color on the certain darker areas. For example, the bottom areas of the wings has a darker shade. For the tail, make sure to strengthen the color where two tail feathers overlap so it stands out more. Also, when painting the feathers on the body, notice that the body and tail's feathers directions are different. For the legs, I put the first layer on with a darker brown color, and make sure you leave blanks around the edge while coloring. We'll work on the details afterwards. Then move on the wood on the bottom area. I start painting from the darkest patterns of the wood, which is around the center bottom area. After that, I first put a base color on, then I start putting the darker patterns on the wood once it's dry. After I'm done with the darker patterns, I put a darker color on for a second layer, so it looks more 3D. And finally, the touch-up. I go back and strengthen some darker areas on the feather and add the darker patterns to the legs as well. So that's all for today's video. Let me know what do you think about this painting by commenting down below. I hope this tutorial is helpful and if you enjoyed it. If you do, please like and share it with someone who might be interested. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and ring that bell so you never miss out on my weekly art videos and tutorials. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye!